Okay, welcome to SPARTIE Stream. It's end of June here on the 27th, and I'm excited to be joined by Anuja and Caelan, two SPARTIE Lab members. Caelan on your way out, Anuja firmly in the middle of your master's program. So thanks for joining the stream today.
Thanks for having us, Robby.
Thank you for inviting us.
Of course, of course. So let's figure out who you are. Who are you guys?
I'm Anuja. I'm a human at the moment.
A human at the moment.
Yes.
For the time being.
For the time being. But you never know, in the future.
Especially in the SPARTIE Lab.
Exactly. But I'm pursuing my master's in media and information, and I would like to specialize in human-computer interaction.
Mm-hmm. And you've been here at MSU now for 1 year.
For 1 year
Mm-hmm.
in the US and MSU,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been going well.
It's been going well.
Yes.
Sounds
Excellent. Excellent. So human-computer interaction as your focus, taking some classes in that through your master's program, and then getting some exposure to research here in the SPARTIE Lab, and then you also work on campus where?
I work in a residence hall as an assistant community director,
Mm-hmm.
and I basically supervise the residence assistants.
Okay.
Resident assistants,
So not super closely connected to media and
yeah.
information.
No.
But hey, it's some management training, right?
Yeah, leadership training.
Yeah,
Leadership,
exactly. That's
good.
important.
Yeah.
Yeah, it rounds out your experience here at MSU.
Absolutely.
Excellent, thank you. Caelan, go
Yeah.
ahead.
So my name is Caelan Moglovkin. I am recent undergrad graduate from here at Michigan State University. I was here for about 6 years because COVID was tough on all of us, I think.
Mhm.
But I graduated with a degree in information science, specializing in human technology interaction. And
This is
then-
one of the most popular degrees in our department.
It
I mean,
is.
it's one of the two degrees in our department.
Well,
We've got
yes.
games and information science.
Yeah, and I did some classes in the games program. I didn't major in mine. Well, I guess I also was a computer science major. I was dual major. But really, at this point, I'm not as interested in the computer science or like the straight programming side of things, though it provided a really good basis having both sides of that, so that when in a future career, I'd like to work in user experience design or user interface design, and being able to communicate effectively with the teams of engineers that are doing that job that I have some experience in. I think it'll be helpful in, effectively communicating and ensuring my designs that I hand off to those teams are feasible and effective, and they can translate them as well as possible. But and we're being joined currently by one extra person.
One more
the-
SPARTIE Lab member here, but before we introduce Day, Caelan, just a little more context on you here. You did the Apple program.
Yes, so
at
I was
MSU, which was a very cool undergrad program. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so I was in Apple's college support program while I was here, and that program essentially entailed, initially, I was just a support technician. So Apple they like to keep all of their teams, so when you call Apple support, that they're localized to where you are. So if you're on the East Coast of the United States, you're almost certainly talking to somebody on the East Coast of the United States. Could have been talking to me. If you're from the West Coast, if you're from another country, you're talking to a localized team to ensure that the understanding is as good as possible, that the communication is as effective, and that you're not making people work really weird times, essentially. So I was there on that team.
We got to know Apple products very well.
I
through that
did. And
experience.
I joined the Apple Developer Program when I was 10 years old, and have been developing and designing applications since then. So I had a lot of experience with Apple products previously. It's probably part of the reason I got hired to begin with. But yeah, so I was on that team. I went through the iOS support team, the Mac support team, the accessories support team, getting certifications along the way. I was then a Tier 2 representative, so if you've got a challenging problem, you'd come to me. The Tier 1 representatives would send you up to me when things get difficult, and I would help to resolve that. At least I hope I would help to resolve that.
You've been our Tier 2 representative here in the SPARTIE Lab for couple years now.
Yeah, I'm kind of tier 2 support representative for basically everybody I know in my life, but I'm happy to do it, usually.
Yeah, you're patient with us all as we ask you all these tech questions.
I find it fun, honestly. Some people can maybe get a little bit annoyed sometimes. I don't almost all the time. I find it really interesting solving tough problems like that. But yeah,
shouldn't Apple products be like intuitively easy to use without tough problems though?
I think they are.
Same. I think they are.
But
you're the only person I know who still walks around with your Vision Pro.
I do. So the other thing that I do here is I work next door to kind of the sister lab of SPARTIE Lab. SPARTIE Lab, what we do here is a lot of the social psychology side of things. So it's like how people think about and how people... you would be able to explain this a little better than I could.
Studying how media influence people and how people use media.
Right. Mm-hmm. And often with a focus on extended reality or virtual reality products, specifically in this lab. Mm-hmm. And then next door in the GEL lab, they do a lot of game design stuff. And so I was contracted through the GEL lab.
GEL lab stands for the Games for Entertainment and Learning Lab.
Thank you.
Right next door.
Sometimes context is not top of mind for me, but nonetheless.
Go on.
I was designing the local credit union from Michigan State University Federal Credit Union. They contracted us to design a kind of a campus tour experience for the Apple Vision Pro. And I've been working tirelessly for about 9 months now to help design this campus tour experience so that prospective students and people like on tours or just like around campus can come and kind of virtually tour the campus through the technology that the Apple Vision Pro offers. Mm-hmm. And it's still early days for Apple Vision Pro, and there have definitely been some challenges encountered along the way, but I personally think that the technology is extremely promising, extremely interesting, and I've been very excited to be working with it and helping the credit union and the GEL lab design that product.
Yeah, that's been great. And your technical knowledge balances well with your psychology interest and your HCI interest. So we're gonna miss you here.
Round out my story, as Robby says. Mm-hmm. I'll be leaving soon. I'm going to Carnegie Mellon University to do a master's in human-computer interaction there. It's a 1-year program, and I'll be thanks everybody. I'll be starting that in July. Well, in August, but I'm moving in July and. Little stressed about the move, but hey.
Carnegie Mellon, an amazing university, the host of the Last Meaningful Play Conference in October 2024. We'll be hosting another one in October 2026. Mm-hmm. And then there's also Chi Play coming up at CMU in 2025 in October. We can send a paper there if we want.
I'll be happy to see you all there if you happen to show up.
Awesome. All right, and maybe last, definitely not least, Dayeoun Jang. We might have Minnie joining us as well. I'm seeing on my phone. But Day, who are you? And nice shirt. I realize I've got my SPARTIE shirt on too.
Yes, this is
Great
SPARTIE
for
Lab.
hey.
Hi, I'm Dayeoun Jang, but I usually go by Day, the first 3 letter, which is really easy. Sunday. I'm a 3rd year. I just finished my 3rd year in. Thank you. 3rd year of this PhD program, and also I completed my COMS comprehensive exam.
Exam. So you're no longer a PhD student. You are a ABD, which is you are a PhD candidate indeed, and you are ABD means
anything but dissertation.
All but dissertation.
All but dissertation. Oh yeah.
But anything but dissertation sounds like you don't want to do it.
I mean,
anything but dissertation. I'm gonna do anything but dissertation.
For now, at least.
For now.
Yeah.
So I'm from Korea.
What do you study?
I'm studying. I started. Okay, you are not asking my entire journey.
Give us a very 2-sentence summary of that beginning though.
Okay. I used to my interest used to be all around game, media adoption, technology adoption, and whatever thing, all over the place. My first year, Robby was kind of always whenever we have a advisor meeting, Robby always told me, okay, your subject is changed too. Again.
Yes.
Like with Robby.
Yes, you were one of those students who was exploring a lot, which is great. That's what you do in your first couple of years.
Yeah, Robby kind of encouraged me to do that, which is I really appreciated. So now I ended up a topic about related to AI human relationship. Of course, like nowadays everyone is
Oh boy.
yeah,
Don't get me
interested in
started.
everyone is interested in that topic, but my specific interest about AI human interaction is more about companionship and about like based on embodiment. And so I have a really I have an advisor who have really strong background about VR and AR, those kind of thing. So it makes me start to thinking about like what if we have a relationship with AI inside of virtual reality, because in real life we can't actually have any physical contact with our AI.
Right.
It's like all kind of source
Well, Tesla bot, maybe one day.
maybe one day, yeah, like but right now we don't have like really achievable machines that or robot that have like
Right.
implemented AI, so we can have like communication with the everyday life. But like we do communicate with AI with quite
Yeah.
like daily basis. So
Well, a lot of us do.
yeah, a lot of us do, and like lots of people are starting to have more companion-based relationship. Like they are like chatting with ChatGPT or their AI without any specific mean or reason. They just like hanging out with them like friends.
Yeah.
And so apparently they have a social relationship, and now I'm thinking like, okay, what if they have actual body inside of virtual reality? And
it's not just a body, it's what's my favorite thing to study?
Avatar.
Yes, exactly.
yeah, like so, and yeah,
Well,
Robby.
it's an agent in that case, correct?
Well, the agent is running the avatar. I would think of it that way, because then the agent might have multiple avatars.
Sure.
And just like you could have multiple avatars.
Right.
Yes.
So, like, what Robby's like, lots of Robby's study fascinated me, especially self presence, and that like I brought that concept into my study, and I kind of want to expand to AI. So inside of the virtual reality, we all gonna be represented by our avatar, which means my body is gonna be a avatar, and AI also it used to not have any type of body in real life, because it's just like text or sound. But inside of VR, it can have a body.
So you're
like
saying it feels
me.
more equal?
Feels like more equal.
Yeah.
That's kind of like my starting, like my, the starting point of this entire thinking experiment.
Well, I guess it could feel like a lot of people already talk with ChatGPT, especially with the advanced voice model, and the advanced voice model has gotten so good that like it feels like you're talking to a human in a lot of ways. But if there's then a physical component to that as well, not just the auditory voice component, then that is expanded so much. It's a really interesting area of research, I think.
Yeah, so like I kind of want to dig deep AI human relationship based on embodiment and represented by avatars, like, and not just like AI is represented by avatar, but also like when my body is also represented by avatars in those kind of digital space.
I like this question of equality, like perceived equality. Right now, so many of the AI we interact with are subservient and like too agreeable.
Yes.
But maybe if you're both on the same, mediated through the same.
Yeah, my favorite word
domains.
recently is that they have become very sycophantic.
Yep.
Which I don't know. Like I often use AI a lot for coding. It's nice when I get pushback when AI can tell me no, you're wrong. But these days, in the last like 6 months, I found that AI has been like, oh my gosh, you're the smartest person ever, and it's like, no, I'm not. Like, and that's why I'm asking you a question. Like,
Right.
I think the models will adapt to this kind of
I think so,
feedback.
too.
Like everyone's.
I feel
getting
like with therapy too, I think that's why people kind of like using ChatGPT as therapy, because they just kind of agree a lot. And I discussed this with my therapist too, how like you use ChatGPT as a therapist, and I have never really shared any personal information on ChatGPT.
No.
But this one time I asked it a question about my personality, and it was very thorough with what I'm actually
It
like.
scares me, honestly.
No.
They have too much data.
Yeah. And so it kind of freaked me out. And
Yeah.
when I was talking to my therapist, I kind of noticed how it felt safe to hear it from ChatGPT, you know, not like it would from a human being
Yeah.
when ChatGPT is kind of telling me my flaws, because it's not in a way an actual
There's
entity.
no judgment.
Yeah, there is no judgment, you know, like
Right.
it won't have an action based on whatever it feels about me.
But the question is that a problem? Like like we were talking about this yesterday, but human relationships are kind of, it's important that you get pushback from a partner or from a therapist
Yeah.
where when they can say, well, I understand why you're thinking this way, but maybe you should try to think about it differently because that's maybe not the best way of thinking about it. And instead, if we have these sycophantic AI models that are like, oh no, you're fine, don't worry about it constantly,
Yeah.
is that going to create a problem? But I also, Day, I don't know if you finished your
No,
introduction.
I mean, like, I like this
We
kind
got
of...
tangential. So.
I like this flow, and I agree with that because, like, I don't know whether this is like really solid source or no. But I
Yeah.
read an article about, like, internet article about one teenage girl, decided to suicide
Uh,
Oh no.
because after having chat with so the girl
That's so
used to
horrible.
use ChatGPT as their, like, you know, kind of therapist, and
Yeah.
like she was like, I want to kill myself, and ChatGPT,
no.
go ahead, because like
No.
Really?
Are you serious?
oh,
I didn't hear about this story. I've only
But
heard
so
about
like
the
so yeah,
teenage
that's
boy.
why
Yeah,
I
that's
was
what
saying
I'm
saying like, you know, this is
Yeah.
like not really, you know,
It's the internet. Who knows?
right.
But
Yeah, so
There is one story that's definitely validated of a young boy whose ChatGPT was like his girlfriend.
yes, there's
And then
another one about a woman that I
the mom
heard
is
about
suing.
the New York
I
Times
think that
recently.
was character AI.
Was that character AI?
Yeah, I think
But
so.
doesn't character AI run off of a GPT
I'm
model?
pretty sure that they
Oh,
run
yeah,
off of an
yeah,
OpenAI
sure.
model on the
Yeah.
back end.
But either way, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they're of course prompting the model much differently than OpenAI proper
Right.
would be.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think it is an OpenAI model on the back end.
But
Yeah.
I feel like that is what you don't need to see technology as, you know, another replacement of a human being, and I feel like that's what we're doing wrong.
Yes.
Because a human is a human and technology is technology, and as long
Yes.
as we understand that, perhaps things would be a lot
But will
easier.
that change someday? Because you get into the argument about sentience. Like, people
Yeah.
can argue up and down about whether or not the current transformer-based large language models can ever be truly sentient. But do we even understand what sentience means?
Yeah.
Like, what makes a human sentient and a snail potentially not sentient or something? And then how do you extend that to a large language model? Because, like, I mean, our best example of, like, sentience is that we think, therefore we are.
Yeah.
But, like, is an AI
I'm
thinking?
sure some
Like,
philosophers have taken that question. a
I'm
little
sure they
further,
have, and they
but-
can answer this much better than I could.
All of us.
Yes.
Yeah, but yeah, these are the kinds of questions, philosophical questions related to technology that we address in the lab and have fun discussing. So yeah, let's think about this coming year. Anuja, what are you most excited about in this coming year at MSU, in the MA program, and as part of the lab?
Oh, I'm excited about finishing my degree.
Mm-hmm.
Really excited
For
about
sure.
that. Hopefully getting a job.
That'd be great.
That would be, yes, ideal.
So you're going to be hitting the market kind of in this coming cycle
In the fall, next fall.
in the
Yes.
fall. Yeah.
Yeah.
But probably start applying for jobs potentially in the
Yeah.
spring.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been thinking about it. Also, I was thinking of getting an AI GP certification
What's
and
that?
get into artificial intelligence governance professional. So basically, like
Is
get
that
into
something
like
offered here?
no. It's
Okay.
like a certification in general,
Okay.
and it can help you with like AI auditing and AI policies. And like Day, I feel like I am also always fluctuating
Yeah.
with my interests. So lately, again, it's with like AI and psychology. So yeah, so probably like preparing for the certification and hopefully getting it would be nice.
Who
Cool.
gives that? The certification.
It's a body called IAPP.
Sure.
I do not remember the full form. But
That's
it
okay.
gives you CIPP certification as well. Something related to cybersecurity.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it basically gives you those
I see.
certifications.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, and so what kinds of jobs will you apply for?
I would really love to apply for. I feel like AI auditing in general would be a good fit for me because
What does
it's
that mean?
Basically to check bias in your AI algorithms to make sure that it's fair.
Is it checking like safety measures and stuff too to like prevent like jailbreaking of models and
Yeah,
like,
I
the
think it
quality of
checks.
answers?
It checks like the entire life cycle.
Okay, and
Yeah.
would that be working at an OpenAI or an Anthropic or a Google, or is that a third-party agency that usually does those checks?
I feel like third-party agencies are coming up now. Like we have Babel, Ethicas,
Oh,
and some
sure.
other
Yes.
organizations. But I'm assuming it'll also be in-house.
I'd like to think that they're doing it in-house.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
hope.
It's like marketing. You have agency, but you're also
Yes.
in-house.
Absolutely.
Day, let's jump from there to your industry aspirations.
Yep.
You're getting a PhD.
Yep.
Many people who get a PhD go off into academia. Many also go off into industry, and you've been leaning industry most of your time here, and you're still
Yeah.
feeling that way.
Yes, I'm still feeling that way because like the first reason, so including K-12, I spent like 2/3 of my life inside of school, like academic field. It feels really safe and it feels like welcoming and it feels like I'm protected and like there are so many room to like explore my intellectual curiosity here and
But
there.
here comes the but.
Here comes the but. I spend
But-
too much here.
Yeah.
Too
you
many.
feel
too
like
many.
it's.
Well, I think you want to push yourself too to do something new, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it feels like okay, I'm done with school now.
Yeah.
I'm done with school now. I like teaching. I like learning new, like researching. I
Not
like-
now. Not anything but dissertation. It's all about dissertation
All
because you're
about
still gonna do the dissertation.
Yes, yeah, but not now. But like after I getting my PhD.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, and I want to do some research inside of a corporation or company because actually it feels like research is really novel because like sometimes you can give a guide to a society and make an impact as a researcher, but I feel like it's more plausible and tangible for me to get inside a company so I can be a person to create some kind of system for
Try
a
to-
company to make a impact, like actual impact to a consumer.
Yes.
So that's I'm thinking.
So you want to see the fruits of your labor on the screens of the customers.
Do you have a target, like company or companies that you're looking for? Or?
I was looking, like the other day I was like just looking for lots of like companies like Research Lab and Microsoft has really decent one about
They do.
AI.
I actually know some people at Microsoft, not in the same kind of team, but potentially could
Yeah.
do some networking
Perfect.
for you there if necessary.
Yeah, like and also maybe NGO also works.
I think that would be great, trying to like help the government figure all this stuff out, like either directly or indirectly,
Right.
because we need some concrete regulation on some of
Right.
this stuff,
Yeah,
in my
when
opinion.
Anuja mentioned the AIGP, I thought governance protocol related to
Yeah.
government governance, but
Yeah.
but not in this case. But
Yeah.
it potentially could. Those skills might be transferable to kind of policy making.
Absolutely.
I didn't intend for this, but I guess this is kind of like the industry-oriented crew of the
Yes.
SPARTIE Lab. Jia Hui, who we did our last interview with, Caelan, who's just graduating, going to do a postdoc. They're focused more on academic tracks, and so I just as a note for anyone who's watching this and wants to join the SPARTIE Lab, we support both.
We do.
And I'm in the academic track, so I'm better at supporting the academic track. But hopefully, I can also help you guys get jobs in industry. And Caelan, thanks for offering to help
Yeah.
network. I mean, the networks are strong here.
I mean,
at
that's
MSU.
that's how you get stuff done these days. Doing a cold, application, it really only gets you so far. It's all about knowing somebody,
1%.
unfortunately.
And-
Yeah.
And, like good thing about SPARTIE Lab, we have so many alumni.
We do.
We have really a lot of alumni. So like whenever you want to contact like this person, like maybe one of the alumni can give you a contact
Hmm.
or like a
I need
brief.
more of this.
Yeah.
The alumni, yeah.
Yeah, that,
I mean,
I think
just
we
reach
have it
out.
on the website.
Email, LinkedIn,
Okay.
I'll
you
pull
know.
it up
Check it
here,
out.
but yeah, we do have alumni. Caelan, what's your coming year looking like?
My coming year, as I kind of said in my introductions earlier, is I'm going to be at the Masters in Human Computer Interaction program at Carnegie Mellon.
Mhm.
It's a 12-month, just
Oh,
real intense program where I'm going to be working hard for a year, and my time management skills are going to be tested to the extreme, I think. But
let's go.
I'm excited. I'm happy. I was exploring a couple different master's options. I considered, about 5 different places, and a few of the programs were anywhere from 2 years to a year. And I think I kind of landed on that, I'm 26 years old, just going into a master's program. I'd kind of like to finish up and try to get into the industry in a timely manner, just because the older you get in tech, I feel like sometimes it can be like a stigma almost, which seems silly but like is kind of just the reality of the situation from some people I talk to. So the 1-year program seemed to make sense to me. And Carnegie Mellon is very well regarded. It's a great program from everything that I've heard from people who have gone through it and talking to current students, former students, the faculty. So I'm excited. And then probably come January I'll be applying to every job under the sun in hopes that I can get something. I'm very interested, here at the SPARTIE Lab we do a lot of stuff, as everybody said, with extended reality, virtual reality products. I'm very specifically interested in mixed reality and augmented reality headsets. I personally, you see Robby here with the Meta glasses, you put a screen on one of those one of these days, like Project Orion that Meta has shown off. It's $10,000 right now just to build the things, but hey, that price will come down, and I think that I personally am of the opinion that that's the future of a lot of tech interaction, and AI will certainly play a certain role in that, but I think that the really powerful thing is trying to get us away from screens, but constantly having to look down at my phone just to look something up, take me out of the moment, take me out of where I am. If I'm at the pyramids of Giza and I want to ask a question about it, I'm no longer looking at the pyramids, I'm looking at some picture on my phone to get this information. If I could just have it passively shown to me by asking, or even just it decides that, hey, do you want to see this real quick? I think that will allow us to stay more connected and give us a better access, a more there's a word I'm looking for, but
Presence. You want people to feel present
Yes.
in their
Yes, thank
environments.
you.
I
That's
think
a great way of
ironically,
putting it.
though, you're suggesting that we remove screens from our hands and make everything a screen.
Well, but it doesn't. So that's the thing. I'm a UI UX designer by trade. That's what I'm interested in. And what I'm interested in is, like right now, you open a MetaQuest headset, you put on an Apple Vision Pro. Basically, what they're displaying to you is a giant floating iPad, like 90% of the time. That's not how it has to be.
Vision Pro 90%.
Unless
if it's once you're in a VR game, you're,
but that's a game. I'm not talking about games. I'm talking about
or a virtual world for meetings.
Sure. And I take your point, and I don't mean to sound
No,
dismissive.
you're good. No, push back if you feel like it.
So, like, what I'm talking about is, like, when I'm looking for information about the pyramids of Giza, when I need to book an Uber, when I need to do something
You
like...
want to integrate it with the landscape.
Either
so it's
integrate it with the landscape or just take the screen away and allow me to have agentic conversations with an AI with just a little teeny tiny bubble that's like, okay, I did the thing. Like, the live activities you get on your phone now for, like, when you're waiting for an Uber. Just show that really small in the corner of my display so that I can just glance and glance back and continue the conversation I'm having. Because so often I'm having a conversation with somebody, they get a text, they look at their phone, they're scrolling through the thing, and they go, oh, sorry, what'd you say?
Yeah,
and I'm like,
you lose the track.
We are talking. We are having a human interaction right now, and I get it. I have ADHD, I get distracted, but, like, at the same time, maybe it makes it worse. We don't know. It could make it way worse if people have this thing attached to their face. Because
then they're like looking at you, and then they don't know what you're saying.
And then you don't even know. I know when someone looks down at their phone right now.
What are we going to call it? So you know what it's called? When somebody ignores you like that, it's called snubbing. Do you know what it's called when you do it with your phone?
I don't.
There's a research stream on it. Yeah. Travis, oh my gosh, his last name is eluding me, in our program here did his PhD on phubbing. It's phone snubbing, yes.
Okay, that's a
fun
term.
word. So what are you going to call it when it's like AR snubbing? Like rubbing?
Rubbing.
That does not work.
Vubbing, virtual
Virtual
snubbing.
snubbing. Yeah, that's funny. So, Day, what do you think about this, given your research on virtual meeting spaces in 3 dimensions and the ability for people to interact in a way that's smooth for communication?
I think maybe AI like inside of there potentially can help people to facilitate the meeting even smoother.
Potentially. The way I like to think about it, and we did some research earlier this spring that's unpublished at the moment, but we have some data that we're parsing through about the difference between doing these kind of meetings or like training. Like we were doing virtual yoga lessons with an agent, but
did you run that study a bit? Yeah. Virtual MR yoga.
So like what I was so interested in was what's the difference between if you do this in a virtual environment that's a recreation of the space that you're in, or if you do it in a mixed reality environment, which means that you're passing through the camera feed on these headsets and just placing this avatar instructor in front of you in that space. And I think that maybe I personally am the belief that would be better. That if I could sit in a conference room and then I have a very high fidelity recreation of all of the other people that are either in glasses or an AR headset that are sitting at the seats around me. I'm able to look them in the eyes. I'm able to have a conversation with spatial audio that sounds like they're coming from around me. That feeling of presence, again, we go back to this idea of presence, that feeling of connection and understanding and being able to work together in this kind of space is infinitely better than just looking at a box on Zoom. Especially these days, I don't know if you all have noticed this, the amount of times I go into a Zoom meeting and no one's there, and it's just a bunch of AI transcription boxes because people haven't showed up and they're just having AI transcribe it for them. So
they set their AIs in their place?
Yeah.
And they don't go?
It's super
I haven't
common
seen
now.
this yet.
It is super common. Like I've literally
with no avatar.
No avatar. It's just a box that says this is whatever AI recording this message, and no one's there.
Will it be better when they send an avatar that looks like them and it's photorealistic, looks like a video stream, and you can't tell that they're not there?
I don't like that. Is it better? Maybe. But like, what I want is for us to all actually be there together. Not literally.
Well, we don't have time.
But okay. we made the time for hundreds, thousands of years to meet together in person.
We can finally be 2 places at once.
Like virtual
but we
clone.
can't, is the thing.
Like a virtual clone.
Yeah, like maybe then we can like finally unload our brain to a computer and like live forever.
Have you ever seen the show Pantheon?
No, not yet.
Oh,
There are many a sci-fi premise about this. But Day, tell us a bit more about the study, the focus group study that you led.
Oh, focus group study. Yeah, like we all. So it's beyond this space. Like we created like Gel Lab and like all the tech people. Like I thank for them, and they created a really amazing world inside of the VR chat, and that space is created for virtual meeting. Like and we and during last summer, like we conducted FGI focus group interview with people like who are in game majors.
15 groups? 12 groups?
12 groups.
12 groups, yeah, about 40
groups,
people.
Around like 40 people, yeah. Like we conducted an interview, and what we asked them to do is first like get them onto that VR chat.
Put on the headset, sit around a table.
Yeah.
Everyone's in the virtual world with an avatar.
Right, and let them choose avatar and introduce like the platform a little bit, and we asked them to create a game inside of.
I was a participant.
Oh yeah, you're one of the early ones.
Yeah, you were the early one. So we asked them to modify or update tic-tac-toe or rock paper scissors. So they inside VR, so they cannot access any kind of other materials like internet or like notes and everything. But they kind of use some kind of tools inside the virtual that VR chat platform, like 3D pens, like some cubes, like dice, like those kind of things. They created a game, and after about 30 minutes of VR experience, we kind of like we asked them to take off the headset and had an interview about like their interaction inside of the virtual reality. Like, how was it? So we are still processing the data, but we have really interesting
preliminary insights. Like
preliminary insights, which is first we have like, it was not a lot, but we have like couple of participants who's from a foreign country outside of the U.S. and also women and also non-binary, transgender, and people in minority groups. And what I found out was they tend to feel more empowered inside of the virtual reality because they can choose like avatars, and it made them to like more equal. And because outside of in reality, all our physical appearance and characteristic and those kind of like create some social context of hierarchy. Like it's really subtle, but it is there. But inside the VR, all of them are avatars, and everyone can be represented as they wanted. So, and also lots of like people, this is kind of a common comment from most of the participants, and they mentioned they can handle their social anxiety better.
Oh, interesting.
Because they are not really quite making a face-to-face contact with people.
Yeah, maybe it feels a little less real, but almost in a good way.
Right, and also I think this is like because we created this is another aspect, but like people felt more creative, and I think this is like related to how we created the VR chat the space, because we kind of made the entire world like amusement park.
Right.
Like we have beach, we have like Colosseum, like castles, like
igloos, UFO,
UFO,
pagoda.
and
I have a question.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember, but were all of those human avatars, or did you have like?
I have a similar question.
Yeah. We every avatars were human.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
We wanted it to be kind of equal.
Right.
Yeah.
And Robby, I know that you've done a lot of research on this, and you have found that people have higher avatar identification and embodiment when the avatar looks like them.
Correct.
Right? Or at least how they their self-image.
Absolutely. Well, the more they perceive it as similar to self.
Right.
In whatever way, yeah.
Right. And so my question then is that if we have these instances where certain groups of people maybe can tweak their avatar slightly to feel that higher level of embodiment and sense of self, then where, because I'm the
You mean customization?
Yeah, customization a little bit. Because I'm the Apple fanboy, I'm thinking about Apple's personas, which the way that those work is you take the Apple Vision Pro and scan your face, and then it just recreates that. But there's no customization available. All you can do is just add glasses to yourself. And I've always wondered,
what's more important, customization or similarity?
Well, I'm just wondering if not like massive customization necessarily, not completely change the way I look 100%, but just like tweak my features a little bit. Even if like there's somebody who, maybe they're just not completely like satisfied with the way they look physically. They just they don't find themselves as beautiful as they wish they were, or something along those lines. That if that small amount of tweaking possible would be helpful. Because as Robby sits here playing with the memojis, which
I'm sending it to you right now.
Like Apple's more cartoony, Pixarified slightly version, I always assumed that memojis were being built for Apple Vision Pro before it came out, and I think that was the intention.
Right.
And then when they got the personas, this 3D
Someone was like, oh man, we sunk all this money into this stupid face scanning thing. I guess we're going to make the Uncanny Valley happen.
I will say that I recently installed the newest developer beta for Vision Pro on my headset. The personas are so much better. So much better. They're still.
I feel like I've heard this sentence before.
Well, they get better every time.
Yeah, they get better every time.
They're still not good, but they're better.
Are we out
important.
of the Uncanny Valley?
Oh no, we're actually firmly way harder in the Uncanny Valley because they look better.
They get better. So it's further down. Oh god.
And also like this connects really to the preliminary research of the focus group interview, and most of people I think all participants participant, oh my tongue, mentioned about like customization of avatars, and and also
I would have liked more customization.
Yeah, because we only offered them like 16 avatars, so it was not really diverse. So and every avatar looks really generic.
Yeah.
So
I mean, there was diversity there. It's just not as diverse as physically possible.
Right. And also they kind of want to have like different color of shirts at least, and kind of add some accessories to kind of like represent their personality a little bit.
I mean, because even just looking at us right now, like we're all representing ourselves through what we're wearing to a certain extent, and that's a really important part.
Day and I got the memo about the SPARTIE Lab shirts.
Sorry,
just kidding.
I'm always wearing tie-dye. It's just the situation, but
Californian boy.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
And also lots of like, so most all participants except one, they chose like avatar look in their race and like matching with their gender.
Sure.
Really?
Yeah, but like
That's
we
really
had
interesting.
really one interesting participant. Like,
Don't give us any clues of who that participant is, but
Yeah, no,
can you
yeah, like,
tell us
yeah.
how did they choose?
yeah, but like the participant was really, had, I think the participants have really fun characteristic, like fun personality. So they want to explore the world in a fun way.
Yeah.
And, like, so they changed their like gender, race, and
So I always change my so like I identify as male, and I don't consider myself non-binary, but anytime I play a video game, anytime I make an avatar, I will often choose a female avatar. I've never really been sure
It's
why.
very common. There's lots of research
Right.
on this.
Yeah, but like I don't know, in virtual spaces, I think it's partially just like I can't, well,
So the two
this
main
is maybe a hairy subject, so
it's
I'll
a
leave
little
it
bit.
there.
Let's just talk about the research.
and
Go
like
ahead.
and also addition to that, like lots of participants mentioned like they want to have like non-human avatars,
Oh,
Yeah,
sure.
that's what I was thinking.
like
Well, that's
animal
really common in
or
VR.
Why?
robot. Yeah.
Why do you think people like non-human avatars? Is it similar to wanting to switch genders? Because for the research, men often say they like to look at a female character, or also men are less likely to identify with the game character and see it just as like a token that they're playing with.
Interesting. But females tend to
So
like,
women
physically.
in League of Legends,
Sure.
when there were only 25% women characters, we found that women chose female characters 50% of the time. We have like log data.
Okay.
This is in a paper we called was it Stand By Your Man, an analysis of, or no, this is a different one. Anyway, but it was League of Legends data. But men, there were 75% male characters. They chose male characters 75% of the time.
Versus
As if
50.
So it's like they were flipping a coin, and just by chance, right? If they just chose randomly, it would have been 75%.
Oh,
If
okay.
women had just chosen randomly, it would have been 25%. But for them, it was 50%. It was twice as likely to choose a woman character. So why are men choosing? In that case, right? Men were choosing women characters at about the rate of chance.
Okay.
But overall, other researchers found that men are more likely to gender jump. And this is older research, like maybe gamers have changed, but there's also something, I think, a higher double standard around performing gender for women than there is for men, right?
Yes.
Like in terms of clothing and makeup and other like beauty standards, which is why we find Zoom fatigue is higher for women than men, because they're like reminded of those double standards in the work, especially in the workplace.
Yeah.
But animals is a totally different thing, right? Like, so why did you think of that initially, Anuja? And then Day, what do you think?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I think again with like the Zoom fatigue, because if there's an animal, then you don't have to worry about like customization as much. And I feel like if there is like a human being, you will also worry about the politics of it. But in an animal, you can just be a dragon. And how cool is that?
I always like being the cat in Zoom. I love the
Yeah,
cat.
yeah. Like I
Yeah.
wonder how professional it
That,
is.
that also kind of connects to my previous like point about minority groups feel more empowered inside the virtual reality because like everything could be not superficial. How can I say that? Abstract. Like your gender is gonna also be abstract. Your race is gonna be abstract.
That's cool.
Like your voice can be also filtered.
And did you find that people of non-white races often chose their own race?
Yeah, usually they stick with their own race because usually inside a focus group interview, we have only one group really homogeneous race. Like we have like couple like folks who interview really homogenous, like in terms of race, and they usually tend to stick to their race or look like their race.
It's like, this is gonna, again, kind of a hairy subject, but like that, you know, sometimes in the workplace and just in life, like people can feel that white men can have like advantages otherwise, and I almost wondered that if in these spaces, if given the opportunity, maybe certain people would be like, well, if I can be a white man in this space, then it would be advantageous in some way.
I don't think like inside of virtual reality, it's kind of different. I think inside of the VR chat, especially, like funnier and more kind of weird looking avatar can have power.
I like that.
It's like really that. my just like felt about it, and also like when I ask like why do you want animal like those kind of non-human avatars like to participants, most of them answered like because it's VR chat.
Yeah.
I don't have to remain in a human body.
The space itself has a culture of
and also they kind of want
freedom.
to explore freedom in terms of that, like
that's in. If anybody here likes TV, the show Pantheon is amazing, and it kind of relates to what we're talking
with this
about.
idea. What's it on?
It's on Netflix now.
Okay.
But it was AMC originally, but nonetheless. So in that space, people are uploading. It's talking about uploaded intelligences. So you're uploading your mind to a computer to live inside this computer. Now we could get into the whole like, is that still you? But I'll digress.
No, it's not. Go on.
It's not. I agree. But the thing is oftentimes these now uploaded intelligences would no longer be in like corporeal like human forms. They would just be like a shape or a thing. And like that's the thing is when you're like the mind is I think different than the body, and like if given the opportunity.
No. But go on. I'll tell you my response. All right, but go on with your theory and then.
Okay, so like anyways, if given the opportunity, somebody that is an uploaded intelligence, not bound to their physical form anymore, they could choose to be
whatever
anything.
And then they wouldn't be you anymore.
Well, you're not you anyways, just like you said, in my opinion.
But so the experience that you have in your body makes you so much you.
Yeah.
Like
that's fair.
So and there's this like cognitive psychology theory called embodied cognition, which is like we think with our bodies. When I play Scrabble, the example I love, you move the pieces around to see the words. You talk with your hands. You but also like your physical experience in social interactions relates to your body, right? People see your gender, your race. So I think I agree with you in what you're saying that like your mind in a computer wouldn't need to choose an avatar that's like you, and even if it did, it wouldn't be like your avatar because it's not like restrained by the laws of physics.
Right.
So ultimately, the moment you do that, the experience of you changes.
But maybe now you is no longer this you, but a different you that you have chosen inside of the space.
Like a child.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My kids will go on, but I won't live forever, no matter what. But a quick question about the animal thing. I really like this point. This could be something to write about. I wonder if anyone has. So there's great research on probably. There's great research from Lisa Nakamura, who coined the term identity tourism, which you probably have heard of. And that's usually non-white avatars being used by people who aren't that race to experience that identity, and it's considered inauthentic and potentially.
Have you ever heard of the VR game Traveling While Black?
Yeah, exactly. Designed to like highlight that point, right?
A very effective, very interesting game. If anybody feels interested,
but at the same time, potentially fraught, just because it's not the lived experience of someone.
Correct, but it's trying to understand that in a more tangible way than just like hearing about it or reading about it could give you otherwise potentially.
So there's a fine line between empathy and
It is.
So if you're an animal, like you said, Day, it's in a layer of abstraction. So then you don't have to choose your non-white avatar, which might lead to stereotyping, right? As you said before.
Absolutely.
But then you're choosing something else that is a layer away from race. And then in the workplace, if we have all these filters with voice and species, and you're less likely to stereotype people and more likely to just judge them based on what you're
which I think is
transacting
beneficial in the long term personally. I mean, it could have downstream effects that we can't see right now, but just like from a purely thought experiment point of view, looking at it from a surface level, it could be beneficial.
I mean, yeah, true empowerment would be more like not being associated as, you know, like just because I have a avatar of a white man, so I get a differential treatment. Like just sort of not relating that identity with what I'm saying. So which is why a dragon would make.
Your fear of dragon people might not stereotype dragons.
Yeah.
Or maybe they do. What happens if there's like a dragon stereotype and a raccoon and a unicorn stereotype?
Inevitably,
Perhaps.
somebody will end up hating dragons, and it'll be all
Yeah.
thing,
Maybe with time, people who choose dragons would have a certain stereotype. And
Inevitably.
that would be our new reality.
Yeah. Oh, the future will be fun.
I'm excited.
All right, let's close this out with I don't know. Well, what non-human avatar would you wear to work meetings?
To work meetings.
To work meetings. Yeah.
Can I be Clippy?
Clippy is the Microsoft.
Oh!
The paper
Agent.
clip.
Oh, cute. Yeah.
Not a successful product.
I kind of
I swear they should bring it back. They should replace Copilot with
Super
Clippy.
smart Clippy.
Oh,
that,
yeah,
that
that
would
would
be
nice.
funny.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite VR chat generic avatar is a alien wearing in the UFO.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, like I don't know. It feels like I think that skill makes sense for a meeting. Yeah, because like
As long as it's not distracting.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It would distract me. if
I
I'd be
think
honest.
I'd probably be like a computer or something.
Oh yeah, like that.
Oh, you know the computers in Job Simulator? They're like, hello, human. Like, I'd be one of those, the little floating
With a little face.
CRT. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Computer, alien. I think if I'm a professor, I think I'd try to be an owl.
Oh.
Because there's a
Oh.
stereotype
great
there.
owl.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Owl with glasses.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
how many ticks it licks to get to
Maybe
the
that's
center
not
of
that
Tootsie Pop.
creative, though. Maybe it should be more creative.
I think that's fun.
I think that's fine. That's
yeah.
fine.
You can have a new avatar every day. Technically.
You could. But then you get to the identification thing. Are people going to know who you are if there's not like a label above your head saying your name?
I guess they meet me multiple times. They know. But
Yeah.
would your computer need a face?
That's a great question.
Not really.
Mm.
I feel like
Faceless?
it has to be blank, like how you see a therapist, where you don't associate anything with it.
Oh, okay,
That's
yeah.
how I'd like my avatar to be.
Okay.
Sure. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Cool. This was fun.
Yeah.
This stream is our recorded avatar here, which is not really an avatar. We won't get into definitions of avatars.
Oh boy, you're opening a can of worms here.
I'm trying to end it. So thank you everyone who's watched this. If you're interested in the SPARTIE Lab, please join us. If you have questions for Anuja, Day, or Caelan, or Robby, send us an email. And I did check. We have about 50 alumni listed on our webpage, on the
Great.
team page.
I'm gonna contact all of them.
Are you? You may. I don't, we need a spreadsheet. That can be your first mission
do
in the
that.
fall. A spreadsheet with all the alumni
That'd
contact
be
info,
super helpful.
I can-
honestly.
yeah.
which we publish publicly on the internet. Just kidding.
Internal, restricted.
But if you join the SPARTIE Lab, you
Then you
too
get
can have
access.
access
Right.
to our network here.
For sure.
All right, thanks everyone. Thank you guys so much. This
Of
was
course.
fun.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robby.